What's up, motherfuckers? I'm Graham INSCOE, and today we're taking a deep dive into Eocsni Ironmaw, a Dwarven Zealot Barbarian with a high tolerance for pain and a low tolerance for boredom. Eocsni's character sheets are available as a free download in the description below, and if you haven't checked out his backstory yet, you can find that in the description as well. Eocsni Ironmaw is, I think, the closest thing to a true hero that we here at DnD Backstory have produced for you all. Sure, he can be abrasive and blunt, and quick to anger, and foul-mouthed, but the child that risked the use of his hands to save a monstrous puppy lives on in Eocsni the Young Adventurer. And even though he has a burning desire to make a name for himself and step completely out of his family's shadows, that's not what the young dwarf thinks of when push comes to shove. When the stakes are high and others are involved, all thoughts of his own goals and indeed his own safety get shunted away. Ironmaw is a barbarian who developed as such by taking a natural, potentially dangerous part of himself in his temper and learning to direct it and control it, shaping it into a rage delivered with an almost unsettling precision, unleashed only at his discretion. He is a warrior who found himself touched by divine power despite his disdain for the gods, and who takes it in stride, neither rejecting it nor embracing it, simply accepting it as something that happened. He's steadfast in his values and always in search of a way to help those in need, and will pursue any goal with the resolution of a hound with its jaws locked around a throat, occasionally literally as well as figuratively. He's the type to acknowledge his flaws without dwelling on them, to cut to the heart of any problem placed in front of him, and one who acts on behalf of others without hesitation, whether it's with the grace of a soothing word or the finality of a swinging great axe. Eocsni Ironmaw suffers no fools and judges all by their behavior, but the biggest place in his heart is for the innocent and the suffering. And his ultimate goal is to protect others, wherever his particular skills may be needed. Now's about where you're probably asking, what are those particular skills? And I'm glad you asked. Barbarians, on the whole, are top-tier frontline combatants, with sky-high hit points and a penchant for carnage. Their main defining feature is their rage, which universally allows barbarians to resist weapon damage and boost their own damage output. Zealot barbarians take this structure to a divine extreme, dealing radiant or necrotic damage with their weapons, and eventually channeling a rage so potent that they can ignore death itself. A quick side note here. Eocsni is a Zealot barbarian, but some of you may know that spiked armor is a feature of the dwarf-exclusive Battle Rager subclass, and indeed Eocsni refers to himself as a Battle Rager at one point during his backstory. The thing is, Battle Rager is conceptually a very fun subclass, but mechanically it's bad. Like, really bad. It's awful. So, for Eocsni, we chose to incorporate the flavor and the aspect of being an armor-wearing barbarian while not actually using the subclass. If your DM is cool with you using the offensive benefits of spiked armor, that's dope. They'll rarely come up, but it's cool knowing a spiked punch is available as a backup option. If a DM doesn't want any major changes to Eocsni's options, that's fine too. Spiked armor has identical stats to scale mail, apart from the spikes, and any medium armor can be flavored to have spikes sticking out of it without hindering Ironmaw's performance mechanically. Time for the nuts and bolts stuff. Eocsni is designed to be an absolute menace on the battlefield, shrugging off blows that would fell lesser creatures and striking down foes with a wrath even more potent than that of the gods. His kit is sadly lacking in lockdown or crowd control options, but sometimes all it takes to draw enemy aggro is being too dangerous to ignore. And the benefits of a simple shove attack to knock an enemy prone are often overlooked. A barbarian relies most heavily on strength and constitution, the former for the ability to hit harder, and the latter for more HP to take hits with. Alongside dexterity, unarmored barbarians gain armor class from their constitution stat, but since we're focusing on medium armor, that won't come up. +3 in strength and constitution are as high as we can go at level 1, and +2 dexterity is all our dwarven champion will ever need to get the most out of his medium armor. Leaving Eocsni with a mental dump stat seemed wrong somehow, but we had just enough points remaining to put each of intelligence, wisdom, and charisma at a neutral +0. Barbarians have proficiency in, shockingly, strength and constitution saving throws, and from the Barbarian list we've selected proficiency in the athletics and intimidation skills, alongside animal handling and survival from the folk hero background. This background also provides our hero with proficiency in one type of artisan's tools, smith's tools in our case, and proficiency in land vehicles. This is usually taken to refer to things like horse or ox-drawn carts, but you never know what your DM might throw at you. Eocsni starts his adventure with the aforementioned great axe, as well as a couple of hand axes and a handful of javelins. You can use your strength when throwing these weapons, but they won't benefit from your rage at all, and you want to avoid going to your limited range if at all possible. Notably absent from our starting equipment is armor. But already at level 1, your unarmored defense is equal to or better than available medium armor options, and most DMs will be fine giving you armor for free. Whether or not it's officially spiked armor is, again, a different conversation to have with them. D12 hit dice mean barbarians have a higher potential base HP than any other class in the game, and believe me when I say you'll make good use of it. Eocsni will usually thrive charging towards the biggest, baddest threat on the field and trying to kill it before it realizes it's fighting a losing battle. So, right at level 1, we have access to Rage, which has a lot of utility baked into one feature. As a bonus action, you enter your Rage, and immediately you have advantage on all strength checks and saving throws for the duration. Additionally, your melee weapon attacks deal an extra 2 points of damage, eventually scaling to higher bonuses, and you gain resistance to all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Rage will last for up to 1 minute, but it will end if Eocsni is knocked unconscious, or if he ends his turn without having attacked or taken damage since his last turn. At level 1, we're limited to 2 rages per long rest, but that number will start to rise sooner rather than later. Level 2 brings us another defining barbarian feature, Reckless Attack. When Ironmaw declares his first attack on a given turn, he can choose to do so recklessly, and if he does, all of his strength-based weapon attacks for the turn will have advantage. This comes at the cost of granting attacks against Eocsni advantage until his next turn, but in combat Eocsni will almost always be raging, and that means that the overwhelming majority of attacks against him will have their damage cut in half. Also at level 2, we grab the Danger Sense feature, which grants our barbarian advantage on all dexterity saving throws against effects he can see, provided he isn't blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. At level 3, barbarians gain a third use of Rage, and they also select their subclass, or primal path. And as we've mentioned, Eocsni follows the path of the Zealot, or at least, the path appears to be following him. This comes with a couple of features at this level. Divine Fury grants extra radiant damage to Eocsni's first weapon attack each turn while raging, equal to 1d6 plus half of his barbarian level. On the flip side, the Warrior of the Gods feature makes it easier to bring Eocsni back to life if he goes full send and just winds up dead. Spells like Revivify, Raise Dead, and Resurrection can be cast on him without consuming material components, which frankly turns death from something to be avoided at all costs into a minor inconvenience, assuming Eocsni has a spellcaster in his party capable of casting these spells. If your DM allows the optional class features from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, level 3 also grants the Primal Knowledge feature, which allows our mid-aged rage machine to pick up proficiency in another barbarian skill. We'll go with Perception over Nature here. All classes get an ability score increase at level 4, and for now we're going to bump our strength up to 18 and a +4 modifier. And like most martial and half-caster classes, at level 5, Eocsni gains an extra attack whenever he takes the attack action. Additionally, barbarians gain fast movement here, adding 10 feet to their move speed so long as they aren't wearing heavy armor. Fanatical Focus comes online as the Zealot feature at level 6, allowing Eocsni to reroll a failed saving throw while raging, once per rage, which he now has 4 of, per long rest. The 7th level Barbarian feature, Feral Instinct, grants our Pseudo-Battle Rager advantage on all initiative rolls. Additionally, if Eocsni is under the surprise condition at the start of combat, he can still act normally on his turn, provided he enters his rage before he does anything else. Instinctive Pounce is another optional feature here, which allows Ironmaw to move up to half of his speed as part of the bonus action used to enter a rage. Level 8 brings us ASI number 2, and we're gonna stay on brand and max out our strength, bringing it to a score of 20 and a modifier of +5. Level 9 brings us up to 5 rages per long rest, And additionally, at this level, our rage damage modifier goes up to a +3 per attack. Also at this level, we pick up the brutal critical feature, which allows barbarians to roll an additional damage die whenever they crit with a melee weapon. That means Eocsni's critical hits are sitting at 3d12 plus 5 damage, plus potential rage damage, plus potential Divine Fury damage. And that'll take a good chunk out of most anything. Rounding out our breakdown, our level 10 feature is once again pulled from the Path of the Zealot. Once per long rest, Zealous Presence allows Eocsni to, as a bonus action, release a Divine Battle Cry that grants allies within 60 feet advantage on all attacks and saving throws, until the start of Ironmaw's next turn. And assuming Primal Knowledge is in play, Eocsni also grabs Nature Proficiency here. That's just about that. Eocsni of Clan Nielsen, Ironmaw. Beloved by his friends and feared by his enemies, a fiercely gentle soul with a heart that he proudly wears upon his armored sleeve. We hope this video helps you understand who Eocsni is and how his character ties into his gameplay. And I sincerely hope you find a place for him at your table someday. When you do, just remember, hit him hard, hit him fast, and above all, do good, recklessly. Thank you all for watching. If you'd like to check out more how-to breakdowns of custom-built characters, download some free character sheets, or check out the backstories for all of our available characters, click on the link in the description. And if you'd like to support us and see what we can do if we've got a little money behind this project, there's a link to our Patreon in there as well.